Blood circulation in human body, it is considered as double circulation. Okay, what is meant by double circulation? Yes, that is 2 times circulation. Why it is called 2 times circulation? Because it completes in 2 full round. That is, one is called as the short round, that is pulmonary circulation, and second one is called as systemic circulation. So 2 circulation is there. One is called as pulmonary circulation, that is from heart to lung. Okay. So next one is systemic circulation, that is to the body part. So you can see that to complete one round of circulation, these 2 phases are needed. So blood circulation in human being is called as what? Double circulation. Okay. So first we can see what is meant by pulmonary circulation. So already I told you that is to the lungs. So you can see that this in pulmonary circulation, it starts from the pulmonary artery. From where does this pulmonary artery starts? Yes, that starts from right ventricle. Heart figure you have seen. From that right ventricle, you can see that the artery which arises, and that is called as pulmonary artery. So from the right ventricle, you can see that immediately it divides and it reaches both of our lungs. So you can say that the blood from the right ventricle, it reaches where? In the lungs. Okay. And from there, pulmonary vein collects the oxygenated blood and back to the heart. Which part of the heart? Left auricle, the blood will be reaching. That process is called as what? Pulmonary circulation. Once more, what is meant by pulmonary circulation is that from the heart, you can see that especially from the right ventricle, what pulmonary artery arises or starts. So pulmonary artery starts from the right ventricle, immediately it divides and reaches both of the lungs. There what will happen to the blood? Blood will mix with what? Oxygen. Okay. Then this oxygen carrying blood, which is called as oxygenated blood, it has to reach again to the heart. So which vein will carry? You can see that from the lungs, pulmonary vein will carry this oxygenated blood to the left auricle, so or left atrium. Thus the pulmonary circulation completes. Next you can see the second circulation, that is nothing but systemic circulation. Systemic circulation, so that the blood reaches all parts of the body. That is what is called as systemic circulation. It starts with the aorta. Where does aorta you can see? Yes, you can see that it starts from the left ventricle. The big red colored aorta you might have seen in the diagram. So you can see that the systemic circulation starts with the left this aorta, which starts from the left auricle, and then the aorta arches back, continues behind the dorsal aorta, and you can see that this will carry blood to all parts of the body, which is called as systemic circulation. So these are the 2 types of circulation. One is called as pulmonary circulation and second one is called as systemic circulation. And so throughout the body, these 2 phases of circulation goes on, and that's why it is called as double circulation. Now we can go to the hepatic portal system. You have seen that while studying about the villi, the structure small in the intestine, small intestine, you can see that associated with villi, inside that the hepatic duct you can see, hepatic vein also you can see. So the vein starting from the stomach and intestine, they do not pass the blood directly into the posterior vena cava. Instead, what they will do, you can see that first it will enter into the liver. So you can see that the blood from the stomach and from the small intestine, so directly it is not entering into the posterior vena cava. So we can say that first it will enter into the liver with a group of vein which is called as hepatic portal vein. So by hepatic portal vein, the blood enters into the liver. There it breaks up into what? Capillaries, and then form a new vein called as hepatic vein. So you can see hepatic portal vein breaks into capillaries and they form a new vein which is called as hepatic vein. And you can see that, so this hepatic portal vein is one which starts with capillaries and ends in capillaries. So always hepatic portal vein, it starts with capillaries, fine branches, and again it united together to form hepatic vein. Again it branches to form what? This same capillary. So we can say that hepatic portal vein starts with capillaries and ends with capillaries. Okay. Now let us see what are the blood vessels entering and leaving from the heart. First, let us see what are the blood vessels that is entering into the heart. First one is anterior vena cava. So in the diagram, that blue lines, vessels you might have remembered. So that is what is called as anterior vena cava, and it is from the upper part of our body into right atrium. So this anterior vena cava from our upper parts of the body, where it enters into the right atrium or right auricle. So it is formed by the union of jugular veins and subclavian veins. So that is the first blood vessel that is entering into the heart, especially into the right atrium. Second one is posterior vena cava. So the same down part, it is called as what? Posterior vena cava, from the lower parts of our body to the right atrium. So usually from the lower parts of our body, legs, etc., it enters in the right auricle or right atrium. That is called as what? Posterior vena cava. Second blood vessel is blood vessels leaving from the heart, that is from heart to the other parts of the body. So which are those blood vessels? One is called as pulmonary artery, and it is from right ventricles to the lungs. So already just now I told, from the right ventricle it reaches the lungs, that is called as pulmonary artery. So that vein goes from heart to other part. Here to which part it is reaching? Yes, to the lungs. Next one is aorta, the big red blood vessels you can see in the heart diagram. There aorta, from where it is leaving? Yes, from left ventricle to all other parts of the body. So aorta starting from the left ventricle and then it branches to all parts of our body. So these are the two blood vessels that is going out or leaving from the heart. One is called as pulmonary vein and second one is called as aorta. This pulmonary vein goes to lungs and aorta, it goes to all parts of the body. Okay. Then liver. You can see that which are the blood vessels entering into the liver. Okay. So first one is hepatic artery. That is the first blood vessels that is entering into the liver. So from where it enters? It is entering from aorta to the liver. So this is entering from aorta to the liver. Then next one is hepatic portal vein from stomach and intestine. Then it goes and enters into the liver. So these are the two blood vessels that is entering into the liver. First one is hepatic artery. So it starts from aorta and then enters into the liver. Second one is hepatic portal vein. It starts from the stomach and intestine and then it reaches where? Liver. Now we can see what are the blood vessels that is leaving from the liver. That is, it goes out from the liver and reaches other parts. First one is, you can see that hepatic vein. Hepatic vein from the liver to the posterior vena cava. So you can see that this hepatic vein, it starts from the liver and ends where? In the posterior vena cava. So now we can see about kidney, which are the blood vessels entering into the kidney and leaving out from the kidney. First one is renal artery. So what is meant by renal artery? Yes, that is from the aorta to the kidney. So it starts from the aorta and it reaches the kidney. Second one, blood vessels leaving from the kidney. From kidney, which blood vessels is going out? So renal vein. So you can see that it starts from the kidney and ends in the posterior vena cava. So it starts from the kidney and where it reaches? Posterior vena cava. Now you understood what are the blood vessels leaving and entering from heart, liver and kidney. Okay. Now we can understand what is meant by pulse. Okay. So what is pulse? Usually if you go to a doctor, usually they will catch near your wrist region and taking measurement of something. That is nothing but pulse. So pulse is an alternate expansion of elastic recoil of the wall of the artery during the ventricular systole. That is what is called as pulse. Once more, it is the alternate expansion and elastic recoil of the wall of the artery during ventricular systole. So that is pulse. So you can see that the arteries, on account of their elastic nature, the wall distance means it enlarges when every time when blood is forced through this by the contraction of the heart. So you can say that when the ventricle, especially when the ventricle contracts, you can see that blood will pump into the arteries. You have seen that process already. So when the ventricle contracts, you can see that all of a sudden blood will be pumped into the arteries. So there a wave-like movement will be formed and that is nothing but what? Pulse. Okay. So counting that pulses, we can say that it is indirectly, it's a counting of heartbeat. Okay. So next one is blood pressure. So you might have heard about blood pressure or BP. Okay. Blood pressure is the pressure in which the blood flowing through the arteries when it exerts certain pressure on the walls. So when blood is flowing through the arteries, it exerts certain pressure on the walls of these arteries and this pressure is called as nothing but blood pressure. Okay, so how can you define blood pressure? When blood flows through the arteries, it exerts certain pressure on the wall of the arteries which is called as blood pressure. And this there are two limits for this blood pressure. One is called the upper limit or systolic pressure, and another one is called as lower limit or diastolic pressure. So there are two limits for this one. So first one, what is meant by systolic pressure? That is when fresh blood pushing through the artery as a result of ventricular contraction. So when ventricle contract, you can see that blood will be rushing into the arteries. That time certain pressure will be exerted there, and that is called as what? Systolic pressure. Okay. And what is meant by diastolic pressure or low limit? You can see that when this blood is flowing through this blood vessels, a wave-like movement is there in these arteries, and that is called as what? Diastolic blood pressure. So two limits, upper limit is called as systolic pressure and the lower limit is called as what? Diastolic pressure. Okay. So in a normal person, you can see that the adult people, the normal systolic is 100 to 140. 100 to 140, and whereas this diastolic, that is you can say that 60 to 80. So this is the lower limit and this is the upper limit. If it is above this one, that is above 140, and this lower limit, if it is 90 and above, you can say that the person is having high blood pressure or hypertension. High blood pressure, otherwise known as what? Hypertension. Okay. And how can we measure this blood pressure? With the help of an instrument called as sphygmomanometer. So that instrument which is used to check this blood pressure is sphygmomanometer. So there is an upper limit and there is a lower limit. Next, about the tissue fluids and lymph. First we can see what is meant by tissue fluids. So you can see as the blood flows through the capillaries of the tissues, the plasma and the leukocytes. What is meant by leukocytes? Nothing but WBC. So when this blood flows through these capillaries, what happens? The plasma and leukocytes leak out through their walls. So leak out through the capillary walls, and this fluid is nothing but we are calling as tissue fluid. So understood what is tissue fluid? We can say that when blood flows through the capillaries, what happens? The plasma and leukocytes, that is nothing but WBC. So plasma and WBC leak out through the walls of the capillaries, and this fluid is called as what? Yes, a tissue fluid. Okay. This otherwise called as intercellular fluid or intracellular fluid. So in between the tissue or in between the cells, these fluids are present. So it is called as intercellular or intracellular fluid. Okay. And it is from this fluid the cell absorbs oxygen and other required substances. So always from the tissue fluid the cell absorbs the oxygen and other necessary substance, and in turn what it will do, it gives out carbon dioxide and other waste back to this tissue fluid. Understood all of you? Next one is lymph and lymphatic system. Already you have heard about lymph, and a system is there. It is called as lymphatic system. Lymph is a colorless fluid, just like blood only, but it is colorless because no RBC is present. And so you can see that most of this tissue fluid is absorbed into the blood vessels, but you can see that the remaining enters into the other set of minute channels, namely lymph vessels, and when it is entered into the lymph vessels, it is called as, the fluid is called as lymph. Okay. So the main lymph vessels are, you can just have a look into the diagram which is given in the textbook, that is 8.16. The main lymph vessels are shown there. Okay. The main lymphs and the lymph flow into these vessels due to the contraction of the surrounding muscles. When the muscles near these lymph vessels contract, you can see that what happens, the lymph will enter and then it flows through these lymph vessels. And so this contraction is beneficial to the physical exercise also. The lymph vessel on the way drain lymph into the lymphatic nodes. You can see the lymphatic nodes in the tonsil, it is present in the neck region, and again in the shoulder near the armpit again it is present. Okay. So these and all you can see that what lymph nodes, from where fresh lymph channel arises, and ultimately you can see that it pour lymph into the major anterior veins close to the entry into the right auricle, and again it takes part in the circulation. So from the lymph node, freshly this lymph will enter, and where it will reach, okay, you can see that near to the right auricle, and then again it starts to circulate. And what is the composition of the lymph, or what are the chemical things present in the lymph? Yes, first cellular part you can see only leukocytes, means WBC. RBC is not present, and blood platelets also not present. Okay, cellular part is only WBC, and in that also 5 types of WBC you have studied. In that mainly lymphocytes only will be present in the lymph. Okay, lymphocyte is one of the type of WBC. And now let us see what are the non-cellular parts. Yes, nearly 94% of water is present in the lymph. And what are the other solid things present in the lymph? Yes, that is protein, fat, carbohydrate, enzymes and antibodies. These are the solid part which is present in the lymph. Now, what are the functions of lymph? First one is, you can see it supplies nutrition and oxygen to those parts where blood cannot reach. So it is nutritive in function. So first function is nutritive, that is lymph supplies this nutrition and oxygen to the parts where this blood cannot reach. So only possible way lymph can supply this oxygen and nutrition. So thus it is nutritive in function. Second one is drainage. There you can see it drains excess tissue fluid and metabolites and return protein to the blood from tissue spaces. So it acts as a drainage by draining excess tissue fluid from the tissues. Third function is absorption, and you can say that fats from the intestine are absorbed through lymphatics. That is, you can see lacteals located in the small intestine, especially in the villi part of small intestine. So here it acts as a absorption of fat. Next is defense. It acts as a defense mechanism. How lymphocytes and monocytes, then these are the two WBC cells, okay, of the lymph function to defend against some diseases. Okay, so it removes this lymphatics. It removes what bacteria from the tissue. So thus it has a very good role in the defense mechanism of removing bacteria from our body. Okay. So the lymph node tend to localize the infection and prevent the spreading of the body as a whole. This lymph node, you can see when any infections, especially when any leg infection happens, you can see the lymph node which is present in the axil of the arm. So that is in the, under the shoulder region and all. You can see that a small swelling will be coming. So that is nothing but it is a protective sign. It is the lymph is protecting our body. That is lymph node. What it is doing? The lymph node localize the infection in that region and preventing from the spreading of this infection in the body as a whole. The tonsils on the sides of the neck are also lymph gland. I told you that both. You can see in the figure here on both sides the tonsil. These are also nothing but lymph glands. So next you can see about spleen. What is meant by spleen? It's a large lymphatic organ about the size of a clenched fist, reddish brown in color and situated in the abdomen behind the stomach and above the left kidney. So its location is clearly given and its size is given and its color is given. Okay, what's the color of this spleen? Yes, it is reddish brown in color. So the spleen is reddish brown in color, and where it is situated? Yes, it is in the abdomen behind the stomach and above the left kidney. So usually spleen is in the left side of your body. Okay, and what is the size of this spleen? Yes, it is the size of your clenched fist. So if you are holding your fist like this is the size of your spleen. Okay, what is the function of the spleen? So it acts as a blood reservoir. That means storing blood. Okay, spleen acts as a blood reservoir. What it will do? In an emergency such as hemorrhage. What is meant by hemorrhage? Bleeding from the blood vessel, that is nothing but hemorrhage. And so you can say that in an emergency such as hemorrhage or bleeding, you can see physical or emotional stress, or in carbon monoxide poisoning also. What the spleen will do? It will release the stored blood into the bloodstream. So thus it acts as a blood reservoir. So it the spleen store this blood, and then in the case of emergencies, that what are the emergency situation? Maybe in the case of a hemorrhage or during an emotional stress, or when carbon monoxide poisoning, means if you are inhaling more carbon monoxide, it is highly poisonous. When this carbon monoxide mixed with the blood, it becomes a poisonous substance. Okay, so that time also, or you can see that during this situation, what the spleen will do? It releases the blood. That is, already one blood is stored in the spleen, that will be releasing into this blood vessels and thus help in the blood circulation. Okay. Second function of the lymph is spleen is nothing but producing lymphocytes. What is meant by lymphocytes? As the cell, it is one of the type of WBC or white blood cell. Then it destroys worn out red blood cells. So the worn out RBC means what? Yes, dead or damaged RBC has to be removed from our blood. So you can say that this spleen is destroying worn out or it destroys worn out RBC. Next you can see in embryo, spleen produces RBC. Embryo means fetus, that is when the young fetus or the embryo inside the mother's womb. You can see bone marrow is not producing this RBC. So instead that you can see that spleen is producing the RBC. So these are the main 4 functions of what is a spleen. First one, it acts as a reservoir. Okay. Second one, it produces a lymphocytes. Third one, it destroys worn out red blood cell. And fourth one, in an embryo, this spleen produces RBC. So you have seen what is meant by spleen and what are the functions of the spleen. Okay, so with this chapter ends.